All right, you guys ready to roll?
We're ready.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Thank you and happy Friday. My name's Andy McDonough. I'm currently serving as the treasurer, going to be the vice president of the Washington Mortgage Bankers Association. And I'm actually proudly serving as the Education Committee chair. Very briefly, I'd like to thank a few people, acknowledge a few folks, and then we'll get going with our panel. And you're going to hear from some great experts today that are going to share best practices on how to leverage down payment assistance programs that are offered through the Washington Housing Finance Commission. We have a great moderator. We've got Lisa DeBrock and myself that will be helping field any questions as they come in. So real quick, I'd just like to give a nod to our education committee, my fellow members, Rona Draper from Radian and David P. from the Washington State Employees Credit Union, WSECU. Of course, Amy Olinger, I'd like to thank her. She's our executive director and helping us put today's event together, sorry. And then also, I would like to just let everybody know here at the Washington Mortgage Bankers Association, we're focused on education, advocacy, community, and engagement. We're looking to inspire other people to get engaged and participate in our industry. I think far too often we get lost in our own little worlds. And like we'll hear from some of our panelists, they're using some of the tools and the resources that are available to us to really not only grow their business, but to have a positive impact in their communities. And that's really what we're about here. And I'm proud to say that this is our first in a series of quarterly lunch and learns, virtual lunch and learns that we'll be facilitating to the Education Committee. So first of all, before we turn it over to Lisa, I'd like to recognize our sponsors, WSECU, Washington State Employees Credit Union, and Umpqua Bank for stepping up and helping support us at event on. With that, I would like to turn it over to Lisa DeBrock. She's 24 years and currently serving as the director. I know she started when she was very, very young at the Washington State Housing Finance Commission. And we're so excited to partner with you guys on this event, Lisa. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, yes, Andy, thank you so much. We're very happy to be here. And again, I would also like to share the love and give a big shout out to Washington Mortgage Bankers for inviting us to be here today. I know we've had a lot of fun planning this panel, and we're so appreciative of your partnership and the sponsors. But we're honored, of course, to be here to share with you an amazing panel today about how to boost your business by using the Commission's down payment assistance programs. And we look forward to partnering with you on future events. And, you know, I hear over and over again that the largest obstacle to purchasing a home is saving for that down payment, especially in today's market. And the Commission has the ability as an entity of government to bridge that gap for home buyers so that they can get into the home with very little, if anything, out of pocket when all is said and done. So by far and away, our most popular program is called Home Advantage. And with that program, we access the open market just like any other lender does. And because we access that open market, funds are definitely always available and without limits. And I encourage everyone here today to visit our website at heretehome.org, because it's always best to get your information from the source about upcoming programs and different program changes. And as we open the doors to home ownership, you're going to be seeing lots of different and exciting things coming your way. So before I turn this over to our wonderful panel, I wanted to just share with you a couple of statistics that you may find interesting. So since program inception, we have helped over 105,000 families bridge that gap to home ownership and purchase a home in Washington State. And I was taking a look at our current pipeline. Our current counties in terms of production, Pierce County is our top county for volume, followed by Spokane. Our average loan amount statewide is almost at $400,000, and for the Tri-County area, it's closer to $440,000 and growing. So with our Home Advantage program, there is no purchase price limit, so the sky is the limit. And today you're going to be hearing from, again, a wonderful panel. We are featuring some of our wonderful lending partners and real estate professionals who have vast experience in the programs, and we hope you learn something new and exciting that will help your business. And so with that, I would love to turn it over to Ali. Ali, take
Everybody.
it away.
Thanks, Lisa. Hi, Ali. Hi, everybody. My name is Ali Shabani. I'm a director of homeowner services for Habitat for Humanity of Seattle, King, and Kittitas County. So I'm grateful to be here to facilitate this discussion. Before we get started, I just wanted to extend my thanks to the partnership the Washington Mortgage Bankers Association has had with Habitat over the years. I recently learned we've had a relationship since 1998. And you guys have done significant participation with us with several of our communities, mainly High Point and Rainier Vista. And recently, in the last 3 years, you guys have had an auction that's raised on average $30,000 a year for us. So we're very thankful for that. We don't know what we got for 2023 yet, so we're excited to see what that number is going to be once that's tallied up. In fact, one of your members, Gary Fallon, is on our board, and he was recognized as the Volunteer of the Year at our 2023 luncheon just a couple weeks ago. So with that, let me introduce our panel that's going to help us in this discussion. We have, first off, Rashawn Clark. He currently works at A&B Homes, has over 16 years experience as a full-time top producing real estate broker. He puts the consumers first. He is creative and crafty in a demanding marketplace and makes consumer protection and communication a priority. He also served in the U.S. Army. Rashawn is an active homebuyer education class instructor with the commission and has assisted 96 homebuyers utilizing commission programs as the selling agent since 2017. Very nice. June Liu has over 25 years of experience in the lending business. She is renowned for her exceptional problem-solving skills, enthusiasm, and astounding customer service. She has earned up to the top 10% rating by Seattle Magazine and is a multi-winner of the 5-Star Mortgage Professional Award, which recognizes less than 7% of the mortgage professionals each year. June values building relationships with her customers and tailoring each home financing solution to meet their unique needs, providing them with confidence and clarity. June Liu currently works for Churchill Mortgage, and she teaches commission-sponsored home buying education classes on a regular basis and has assisted 53 home buyers households in our program since 2017. Brooke Gibson from Homesite is a loan officer there. Homesite is a non-profit lender who specializes in helping first-time home buyers with multiple layers of down payment assistance to bridge the gap for home ownership. She is a South Seattle native whose experience in becoming a first-time homebuyer and interest in maximizing the use of her economics degree inspired her to assist others in their journey. She is committed to helping individuals and families gain a sense of security through homeownership and a path towards generational wealth. As the newbie on the panel, she has assisted 154 homebuyers since 2021. Bravo, with the commissions program. And as a side note, Brooke and I worked together when she bought her first home when I was a loan officer. So glad to see her here on here as well. So with that, welcome panel. I wanted to start off with a question for each of you. Rashawn, if I could start with you first, what would you say are the benefits of using the down payment assistance program for your business? And why do you refer homebuyers to the commission down payment assistance programs?
Well, inflation is outperforming wages. I mean, my goodness, if you look at just these past 3 years, we've had double-digit growth when it comes to that, when it comes to appreciation. And not only just when we talk about inflation, just from a price standpoint, but just property taxes. I mean, if you've gotten your property tax here in the last year or so, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's sticker shock around our region. We've had amazing growth. And not only with that sticker shock, but it's payment shock. I mean, my counterpart, Kurt Tiedemann, he does a good job of that, talking about that in our homebuyer education class of just getting ready for payment shock because of inflation. It can be really mentally, emotionally overwhelming of your housing expense doubling. And you really got to get prepared for that. That's what's good about the program. It can help out with that. If I'm being honest, I mean, we're starting to see an uptick in our marketplace. I thought with the pandemic, things would slow down a little bit. Did nothing. It's just a speed bump. We're starting to see multiple offers. We're starting to see review dates. We're starting to see that come back. Didn't quite see the dent that I would have loved to see in our marketplace. You would think with the higher interest rates and just being expensive to live in general, that our prices would come down. We just haven't seen that. And I think that that's really where the benefits of having support with this program, that home advantage program is saying, hey, you're going to have that payment shock, but you know what? You got some support and you got some assistance. Really, when we talk about being able to hold on to your reserves and have some savings, that is absolutely huge. And that's what's great about the program. It supports you in being able to do that.
Great. Thanks for a very good point there. June, what about you? What are the benefits that you found in using the DPA programs?
Well, from a lender point of view, we get to meet customers, right? We get to meet clients who value an alignment with home ownership through education. After the crisis, as you know, 2008, 2009, a lot of people lost their homes, right? And they're afraid to go back into the home buying process. But before the crisis, we always look for programs that are sustainable, that people can make their payments, that through budgeting and credit and things like that, just being on an even playing field, right? But then all that crazy programs came out and people lost their home. So having study shows that having taken a first-time home buyer class through the commission reduces the default rate. Right. And that's why we partner up with nonprofits so that we can educate people how to buy a home and make the right decision for their family. And they face a lot of challenges. Honestly, Rashawn was saying how expensive things got around here. When my parents bought their first home, it was like $100,000, right? So 3% of $100,000 is like $3,000, right? But today, average home price is like $500,000. So 3% of $500,000, you could be needing to come up with $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to get into your first home. And that's where the Home Advantage program is so powerful. It can not only just help with the down payment, it helps with your closing costs. It helped you with, any gaps that you might have. Some of the programs don't have any payment, right, until you pay it off. So your payment is actually lower than the average programs out there because you don't have the payment on the down payment assistance, right? So it not only helps with funds to close, it helps with saving for reserve, like Rashawn say, using your money for reserve and using the state money for down payment, right? So it has many functions that helps you with sustainability when it comes to your finance, your family's, future. And it's important. Money is important in every family, right? Is stability.
You're absolutely right, especially the closing costs alone are so much higher than they used to be as well. There's added fees that have been before. Brooke, what about you? What are the benefits of using DPA programs for your business?
The most important benefit is that a lot of our down payment assistance is deferred for our clients. So being able to afford the payment on a larger mortgage doesn't always work out for everyone. So being able to defer a portion of that and not have it count towards the DTI gives people more purchasing power. And as June and had pointed out, allowing them to hold on to more of their reserves for that rainy day and assisting with closing costs. And I think the greatest benefit is deferred funds. And of course, Home Advantage for buyers that maybe have funds, but don't have enough of the down payment assistance to bridge the gap to get into a home.
Of course. Let me come back to you, Rashawn. What are the obstacles to getting DPA offers accepted, and how do you get these offers accepted? And then more specifically, is there any specific way that you write up the contract, the financing addendum with DPA?
Well, it's been a little country club around our region. When you think about it, you're putting on houses and you have people putting 20% down, waiving inspections and being able to make up the appraisal if the appraisal comes in less. And now you come in with an offer where we need to do a home inspection. We don't have the funds to make up an appraisal difference. And I think ultimately, I'm a big fan of that underwritten approval, Ali. That is just so great. There's a lot of opportunities in the offer where it's just about effort and consideration. And that's what an underwritten approval is about, is to say, hey, look what we've done now, where there's 20% down, where there's 30% down. I think we can all relate to something very common as an underwritten approval. Another thing that I did was I created a profile. I had a colleague suggest that to me. Because, you know, we're being told, no, 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 you know, these loans are still being stereotyped. I don't think we'll quite get out of that, but I think we can definitely bridge the gap. But what I did was I created a profile, and I'll just be able to send my fellow agent just a profile of all the houses that I've closed with this wonderful program here. To just say, hey, if you look at the dozens and dozens of families that I've helped, you know, a big fraction of them was the lending partner that we deal with, because the more you can really make that co-agent, you know, the colleague, to feel a little bit more comfortable, it's a great way of being able to overtake obstacles with the program.
Very good point, though, as far as sharing past successes, Rashawn. Thank you for bringing that up. June, what about you? What obstacles have you been able to overcome, or how have you been able to help get offers accepted with your real estate partners?
I think a few advice, I agree with Rashawn, is that get your heavy lifting, what we call heavy lifting, done first, right? You're going to go through the same process. Is like, would you rather do at the beginning or would you rather do at the end? So having it pre-underwritten or underwritten first, you do all the heavy lifting up front. So all you need is appraisal and title and maybe locking in your interest rate. And that is a key to sell these products, because as I'm talking to a listing agent and they're like, well, why is your deal better than the other deal? It's like, it's all underwritten. All we need is appraisal and title, and we can close faster by having it underwritten first, right? But also too, I think it's important to understand that having the buyer go to the first-time home buyer class before they find a property is also very important, because it gets the buyer into all the terminology, understanding how the product works, right? And getting them underwritten and be prepared mentally as well. So when they meet with an agent, they understand the market, they understand what type of market they're in, so they can make a quick decision. That's how they win on the deal, right? How many buyers have you seen that, let me think about it, and by the time they thought about it, tomorrow the house is gone, right? And so going through these home buyer classes, educate them and prepare them for that time where they have to make a quick decision as well. I would say also have a strategy meeting. I have a strategy meeting with the agent on a Zoom call with myself. So all parties are present, so we can strategize on how to make a better offer, how to prepare this buyer to be in a better position to win the house, right? And that way, every buyer is different. One person may not have money, the other may have money, who knows, right? So having that strategy meeting is one of the keys to having everybody on the same page.
Thank you, June. That's a very good idea, strategy meeting. Brooke, what about you?
I'm in alignment with everyone else on making sure that we issue underwritten approval so that people can go out confidently and shop for their homes. We also participate in the first-time homebuyer education program so that they're familiar with the entire homebuyer process and not just the lending side, but the shopping and inspection and appraisal. I too, June, also have three-way calls with both the client and the agent as they're discussing what type of offer they would like to submit and how to structure the numbers to make that work. One of the misconceptions that I get from some of the listing agents that call is the money available and where are the funds? And I have to remind people that the money is available. It's not necessarily free, because I think the idea that it's free maybe seems like the offer is less competitive. So I'm reminding people that they're borrowing this money. They're a strong client. They're fully underwritten. They can purchase the home and we can still close in 30 days, right? Down payment assistance doesn't mean that it's going to take longer for a client to get into a house or close on a particular deal. I hope that helped answer that question.
Yeah, it does, Brooke, and that actually led into my next question. So let me just continue on with you here. Besides what you shared about the availability of funds, what other misconceptions would you say there are out there among peers or with realtors about DPA? And then how do you convert those to closings?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions may also be a client's ability to purchase, and the idea that maybe this client is on a lower purchasing scale. Maybe they can only purchase $200,000 because they're getting down payment assistance, right? Whereas you could still afford quite a bit of home in today's even competitive market and still take advantage of down payment assistance. As Lisa said, there's no limit on the purchase price through Home Advantage. So you can still help clients at both ends of the spectrum, those that are on the lower end and those that are on the higher end, and still successfully help first-time home buyers or even second-time home buyers.
Great. Rashawn, what about you? What misconceptions have you come across with your peers?
Yeah, just right what people are saying of just, the consumer, the buyer not being able to close, being unstable, things of that nature. Because like I said earlier, we've gotten really spoiled around here. We got a great economy. And I tell you, our housing market really showed what a wonderful, wonderful housing market that we had, because it was record breaking everything. So when you got to do an inspection, that can kind of throw you off a little bit when you're not used to that. And I think it's just really just more of an education process. I think it's more that it's a team effort too. Something as simple as getting your home inspector out there right away. We talked about the underwritten approval, getting your lending partner there. When we go into this, it's a team effort to be able to educate our peers, because this program, we haven't really scraped the surface in terms of the growth, because our region, it's still growing. I mean, when you look at here in the next 3 to 5 years, who knows where this place goes. So I think it's just an education piece and really a group effort of really just having a good team around you to be able to kind of overcome and overcome some of those misconceptions from our peers.
You're right. Your team, the folks you're working with, your lender, their processing team, all that make the world of difference. You're absolutely right, Rashawn. June, what about you? What misconceptions have you come across?
I think a lot of time people think that the loan is tougher to do, right? That it just takes longer. It's too complicated. There's too many moving parts, right? And it really isn't. It's like any other products, right? And sellers seem to think, oh, they're tougher on the house because they require inspection, where we can't waive inspection, right? But did you know that we just want a paid receipt of the inspection? We don't even see the inspection, right? So how can we pick on an inspection or the house if we don't even see it, right? We just need a paid receipt to make sure the borrower has at least look under the hood, make sure they bought a decent house, that they don't have a lot of maintenance issue as they're walking in. So I think there's just like Rashawn said, there's just a lot of lack of understanding of the product, and that's meaning agents are on here. We all need to learn about the product, right? To be good at it, so that we can explain to our seller and to our buyer and everybody around us that no, we don't necessarily look at the inspection. We just need a paid receipt. So we're not going to pick on the house. We're not going to make it any harder than it should be.
Great. This will be for you, Rashawn, and June, since you guys teach homebuyer classes. Let's start with you, June. Why do you teach the homebuyer education classes, the commission classes? What do you find that you get out of that?
I get to meet people. It's a lot of fun. Honestly, 5 hours is a drag for me as well as the buyer, right? So we have to make it fun, right? We want to make it educational, but fun for them to at least learn something. Like I say to people, if I can have you take one thing away and implement it and improve your life and your family life, it's worth it, right? And we're a family of immigrants. I came here when I was a child of 3rd grade, and my parents were immigrant, right? And the people that helped us to buy our first home and to establish a life here, I do not only that person, also future generation, right? If they can buy their first home, then their kids are going to think it's normalized that everybody buys their home, and it just passes on, right? So what we do, I think, is important, not just for current generation, but for future generations as well.
Great. Rashawn, what about you?
Oh, I could go on and on about that, Ali, but I tell you, just over the years, I think the one thing that I really appreciate about homebuyer education and really having that opportunity to teach, which I think is absolutely awesome that we have an organization that allows that platform there. But I just love the community out of it. It's a sense of community. It's an innocent space that we can all come to. It doesn't matter where you came from or where you came from or where you came from. We can all come together to help one another. And that's really what community is about. And that's kind of really what the homebuyer piece of it is to say, hey, you know, you have a lot of people feeling the way that you've been feeling. You know, we have people that come into the class, they just stumbled on it. If it was a Google search, if it was a coworker, and it gave them a little sense of hope, because some with this inflation and with the housing crisis that we have kind of given up on the idea of being able to buy a house. And that's kind of really what the education piece has done for it. It's been able to restore hope. Not only that, but when you think about it, what a great way and what a great innocent way to be introduced to home ownership is to be able to come to a space that's empowering and to help you make better decisions. And that's what it's about. Not only that, but kind of what June is saying, you know, I tell you, I've got some lifelong relationships out of it. There has been friends that's come out of it. And I tell you, it is a great way of being able to grow your business.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that I used to teach classes as well, commission classes, and then also classes for home site. And I still have folks that I taught classes to that'll email me and ask about stuff. I think it's great. I don't mind it at all. So it's definitely a connection that's made in that time period. Now, there's a question in the chat for you, Rashawn. What is your class schedule? Do you hold them? When do you hold them? Do you do one class for 5 hours, or do you do 2.5 hour classes? How do you break it down?
Yeah, so we do one class 5 hours. We typically do them on the weekend. Sometimes we'll do a weekday class. So if it's a weekday class from 4 to 9, and then typically it'll be a Sunday or a Saturday. And I think the advice that I would give with the home buyer classes is really have a good co-instructor. Mm-hmm. Because you feed off of one another, you learn from one another. And that's kind of why I'm very grateful to have the co-instructor that I have with Kurt, because I've learned a lot from him. He's learned a lot from me, because for a lot of our audience out there, that's their first impression, is what they're going to get out of the home buyer class.
Great. All right, let me open this one up to Brooke, and it'll go to everyone here. Brooke, how do you think DPA programs and the value of DPA programs get on the radar screens of more lending and real estate professionals? How do you think we should do that?
I think that advertising is always nice, but I think that I found that the greatest way is that word of mouth, right, has increased interest in the program. One person takes advantage of it. When I'm having conversations with lending or listing agents that are not familiar with down payment assistance, it's kind of like an aha moment where they're like, oh, I wasn't familiar with that. I have clients that may work for. Can I put them in touch with you? So that's what's worked best for me. But I realized that, and I think earlier on in our other discussion, there was an idea of maybe like Facebook live feeds to have these conversations so that people that are into social media can participate in the process of understanding what's available for them.
Great. Excellent point. June, what about you?
I think we need to approach the brokers of, you know, the offices and say, hey, by promoting this, you're actually helping your own agents to increase their sales, right? Because a lot of agents are struggling right now. I mean, I don't know, this last year has been rough for lenders and agents too, right? We're having to go back to the basic, right? We're having to remember, like, gosh, business, we have to go out and find business. It doesn't like come rolling in like it was, right? So how do we polish our skills? And I think one of the things is maybe having the broker be aware of these products and help promote it, because I think there's a lot of fear, right? Fear of the unknown, fear of not knowing how to do something and do it well. And you don't want to look bad in front of your clients. And so you don't want to go there and you always talk it down. But if you understand the product, and I'm sure we can go to the offices and train the agents, right? And understand the product, do it better, do it well, do it extremely well, and celebrate the success with the program. And therefore it will get more people involved.
Great. Rashawn, any thoughts on this?
June, you took the words right out of my mouth. Wow,
hey, teamwork,
yes.
right? Teamwork, right?
Yeah, I mean, just speaking as a realtor, she's spot on. I mean, when you think about it, our brokers are kind of like the brains of the office. You know, a lot of realtors go to them for support, you know, for direction, for guidance. You know, a lot of them have company meetings. I know mine does. You know, we love talking about this game. We love to try sit and talk about it so that we can help one another. And I think something like this from a managing broker standpoint would go a long way growing it organically, not only to us, but just as fellow realtors. You know, it's like when I'm listing a house, you know, I try to really educate my sellers. I think Brooke had touched on that, and that's absolutely, you know, when you have a seller that is listing their home, I take the opportunity to say, hey, you know what, I've done tons of loans through the Home Advantage program. It's one of the reasons why I'm standing in front of you right now, because of that program that has just been amazing for my business. It stimulated our economy. It's one of the reasons on why we have such a fantastic housing market, because of the support that comes out of that program. But I think when you have people around you, you get an opportunity. And I got a friend, he asking me about home buying, brought up the DPA programs. What did he do? Went back to his employer, and then we get some people out of his employer taking the class. You know, I think us of just day-to-day living, of when we get an opportunity to talk about it, but absolutely, I think our managing brokers would be a great resource of being able to grow this.
For sure. For sure. I mean, I guess that's the key, is getting realtors more comfortable with it. Just like you, Rashawn, the sellers agents need to be more comfortable with this, not just the buyers coming in with the offers. All right, so let's talk about scenarios here. So what types of scenarios are you now seeing when using DPA? We'll start with you, Brooke. What ways is DPA being used? For example, buying down the rate, paying for upfront mortgage insurance, closing costs, or what other ways is DPA supporting our buyers?
I've seen buyers be able to repair things on the home prior to being able to close, because they have the DPA to help with those the funds towards closing. So they're using their own personal funds for repairs, having money left over when they move into the home for that foreseen emergency shortly after you close. I don't know how many of you experienced that as I did. My car broke down the day that I closed on my home, but I had money to get it repaired. And of course, buying down the interest rate through Home Advantage has also been a tremendous help for clients.
Great. June, what about you?
A couple of things that come in mind is, you know, you don't have to ask family for gifts anymore, right? You don't have to go beg money from your family and not wink, wink, don't have to pay it back kind of thing, right? So now you can actually go to, you know, the commission and get money and don't have to like let the whole family know that you don't have the money for a down payment. The other thing is, I think I'm really big on reserve because of after the housing crash and saw how many families just, you know, got devastated. I rather see them using commission product and have money in the bank for reserve to fix things and to, you know, repair the home or do whatever they need to do. So those two things come in mind that is the benefits of using this product is to be able to get into the home, have good emergency money, don't have to let the whole world know how you got into the home, right? And to get your first home through down payment assistance.
Great. Rashawn, what about you? What ways have you seen, I think it's your lending partner, Kurt, creatively use DPA?
Well, you know, buyers are really big on, I think Brooke and June touched on it, of really wanting to get themselves a house that's in move-in ready condition, you know, fair to moderate condition with no immediate pressure of dumping money into it. You know, that's a big one. And really, you know, when you do a home inspection, yeah, you get some repairs, but you don't get everything, you know, and I think that in the climate that we in, having some savings, having some stability, you get closing costs, you know, need to get closing cost assistance. That's gone up significantly, you know, just over here in the last couple of years. And that's what's great about the program. You know, it's very versatile. I think that that's what I like about it. You know, it really puts you in a position where, you know, you might have one party that has these circumstances. I need closing costs. We can help you out with that. You have another one. I need down payment. We can help you out with that. You have another one saying, hey, I have money, but I don't feel comfortable coming up with half my savings account just to be able to put down on our earnest money deposit. And the program allows us to do that. And we're seeing that a lot out there where consumers are really wanting to hold on to their hard-earned dollars.
For sure, for sure. What would you say, Rashawn, what are your tips and tricks that you would provide to other agents as they're putting offers in? I know you shared a few of them as far as sharing about your profile as far as past successes. Any other tips as far as getting your offers accepted?
Yeah, shortening your home inspection helps out quite a bit, especially when you have somebody that's just very on the edge about the program. And I think it's just fundamentals, Ali. I mean, I always say this, that, just being easy to talk to, having great customer service, giving good service, that sometimes make up for the favor you don't have. Sometimes it makes up for the money you don't have. I can't tell you how many times over the years of just the dozens of these of these files that I've done, that walking into it, it'd be like, wow, you got that accepted. And it's picking up the phone, it's providing good service. We talked about the underwritten approval. And like I said earlier, it's really just getting that team involved that understands the program.
Great. Brooke, what about you? Any tips and tricks that you'd want to share?
I'm always happy to talk to the listing agent when offers get submitted so that I can hype up my clients so that they can get the house of their dreams. I also, because I'm new to this industry, use my own story that I was somebody that got to take advantage of this program and that I was able to purchase a house thanks to Ali. Thank you again for that. And that we can still close in 30 days, right? I'm helping first-time home buyers do what I was able to achieve, and this is why we're doing this work. So that's been those tricks have worked very well for me so far.
Great. June, what about you?
I think being transparent is important, doing down payment assistance program, because everybody's confused in the process anyway, and the program, right? And being transparent, over communicate doesn't hurt, because then everybody understand the product. The more people understand, the more they get less fearful of the program. And then also to meet the client where they're at, meaning that, we have clients that don't know what an email is, or, they don't have computer. They're remote, they're still functioning in the old days, and to be able to accommodate those as well, right? Just to understand their needs and just meet them where they're at.
That's a good point, June. And I would say that also goes to the other end of the spectrum where someone only uses their phone. There's no, it's not, versus not having email. They don't even want to talk to you on the phone. They only want to use email. They only want to be online. So, one thing that worked for me, I just want to share this with the inspection, is to allow a pre-inspection. Sometimes homeowners are allowing someone to do a pre-inspection, or they already did a pre-inspection that can be reviewed. So that can at least expedite the process as well. Okay, so this is my favorite question. I want you each to think about this. So I want to hear about a recent or your favorite success story with DPA programs. So let's start, June, with you. Why don't you share your favorite success story?
There are so many, but one that comes to mind is I just did a loan for a single mother with a disabled child. And when I called her to tell her, hey, you are a homeowner today, right? There was a dead silent. It was so dead that I didn't think she was on the other line. And finally, a few minutes later, she said, really? And I said, yes. And she broke out in tears, right? She just cried. And I said, okay, so are you all right? And she said, you have no idea. I promised my son when he was like 5 years old that we won't be homeless again. We won't live in our car. Now I'm getting teary. We won't live in our car. We won't have to move again, right? And now he's in his 20s, and I finally fulfill a promise. And I cried, she cried, and I'm still a little teary as I'm thinking about the story. But we make a difference. We make an impact, and we don't know what background people are from. We don't know what their stories are, right? Until instance like that, they share, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know, right? So I just want to encourage everyone on this call is it's not just a transaction, right? What we do matters. What we do is important, and sometimes just give a little grace to the program so that we can get more first-time home buyer in. I know a lot of agents out there, and I know I'm talking to you, is that you remember your first home. right? You remember your first home and you remember how much joy it was to be in your first home. Why not give a grace as if you're a listing agent, why not give a little grace to the buyer who's buying their first home, right? Versus an investor or all cash buyer, right? Think about that the next time you evaluate which offer is better, right? That's just my 2 cents.
I like it. I like it. Brooke, what about you? What's been your favorite story so far? Success story?
And I want to say all of my clients are my favorites because sometimes we're working with clients that are not as, they're kind of further from opportunity. But I had a mother and daughter who were the primary caregivers of their disabled siblings, and they were a household of 7. And in today's market, oh my goodness, how can you find a house to accommodate 9 individuals or 7 people, right? They were able to partner together and take advantage of the commission's down payment assistance to get into a house over in Tukwila, of all places. So not too far out of the city of Seattle, right? And get a house for themselves and accommodate everybody in the household with the room for themselves, which would have been probably virtually impossible without the assistance of the commission's down payment assistance.
Wow. Yeah, 7. That's a lot of people. That's definitely a lot of people. Rashawn, what about you?
Yeah, there are a lot of them, but I think the one that stick out, and this was about like 3 years ago, was teaching a class. Had a mom or two wanted me to help her out. Now this is just right when interest rates got really, really low. It's kind of the start of when we started to feel the housing crisis, and we get out there. She didn't have a huge budget, didn't have any closing costs. I mean, just coming in there and just was willing to put the effort in. And I mean, we're looking at house after house being told, no, no, no. Sometimes it's even just mentally, emotionally, draining when you're looking at houses and people are in the front yard waiting for you to get out, and we were going through that. I think I probably lost track after offer number 10 or 11 of being told no. It's emotionally draining. We're spending weeks after weeks after weeks looking, really kind of on that hamster wheel, if you speak. And I told her, I said, you don't give up on me and I'm not going to give up on you. And we kept at it. We kept at it. And was able to get her a house. And we fast forward 3 years later, and she was able to put that house on the market. And guess who she gave an opportunity to? To a family that was in the same situation she was in. She gave it to a family that was literally using the home advantage program. She had 6 figures worth of equity, and she was able to leverage that into a beautiful 4-bedroom house for her and her kids. And I tell you, I just think with this program, the power of this program is just absolutely amazing.
Thank you for sharing that, Rashawn. And I think that's something to remember is, your first home, you have such little equity when you get into it. But that's, as we all know on this, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, that's how wealth is created, is when you own appreciating assets is how wealth is created. With that stocks, bond, artwork, homes, for most of us, that's what that is. So allowing someone to get there. I want to just share a story I have from when I was originating loans. I worked with a young woman, single mom, who's getting displaced from SeaTac, the SeaTac area, during the construction of the light rail going down a Federal Way. The eminent domain thing. They withdrew. They seized the land that her apartment was on. So she was able to get some funds. When the federal government does that, federal funds are used, you get a bunch of money. It ended up being like $50,000. So she's able to get that money and use that for home ownership. And she worked as a cook at a old folks home. I don't know I'm sorry for the inappropriate term there, but she worked there, took care of her young son. Not only was she a first-time home buyer, nobody that she knew ever owned a home before, but she was so patient. And when she bought that home, she just got herself a little tiny condo for her and her son, but it was perfect. And I think about her having nothing, living paycheck to paycheck, and now having an asset that's appreciating for both herself and her son. That's the value of what we're able to do. And that's the value at Home Advantage and the commission's offering, giving that extra boost for us that don't have rich parents to give us money. That's really what this is doing for folks. So with that, I think I have a few more questions, but I really want to open this up to the group here with us. We have quite a few people here. We have over 50 here with us right now. Please type in or unmute and share a question that you have for the panel. If not, I can of course come up with more.
Ali, do you mind if I ask a quick question?
Of course.
So honestly, guys, being in a loan officer and in leadership since 1997 in the industry, we've managed these files, processing and delivering all that stuff, but I haven't ever originated myself. I guess my question to you is, do you have any advice to new loan officers that have limited exposure to these types of programs, but they're very interested in adding down payment assistance programs into their business? Like, what's the first step? Where do you go?
I can answer that. Being a loan officer, if I were starting out and I'm interested in the program, right, get some training. But I think more importantly, reach out to any of us on the panel, right? We've done it, right? So shadow us, come and talk to us, figure out how we do it. I mean, I'm all about sharing, right? Because there's no secret. I don't know if you know that. There's no secret being a lender, right? We all do the same thing, but maybe just have a few little spin, right? So maybe sit in on one of our class, right? And maybe have coffee with us. We'd be happy to share with you how we do it and help you succeed in any way we can as well. Our whole goal is to help more families, right? So if you help 5 people, the other lender help 5 together, we can do quite a bit of business together, right? So if it's product training you need, I'd be happy to sit down and help you with that. If it's marketing, I'm sure we all can help with that, right? So just reach out to any of us on the panel.
I'd also like to have an add-in, if that's okay. I mean, please always feel free to reach out to the commission. We're happy to help you with any scenario you have. We're happy to hold your hand from start to finish on any transaction you may have. We certainly don't want you to get involved with a transaction and have that home buyer sitting at the bottom of your pile because you or your processor are not sure what to do. We are here to help you every step of the way and realize how easy it is. We're here for you too. So thank you.
Brooke, would you like to add anything?
I think that June and Lisa have hit the nail on the head with what I would say.
Great. We do have a question in the chat about advice on getting attendance for classes. I'm going to roll that over to you, Rashawn. How do you drum up attendance for your classes?
That can be a roller coaster at times because you always have people that have change of circumstances last minute. But we've been doing it so long where I think the word has kind of just gotten out. I think to grow the class is just consistency, because the more people that you're helping, the more people that you're talking to, guess what they do? They go back and they talk to their friends, their families, their coworkers. I think it's just jumping in it and just being consistent, consistency, week in, week out. There are times that, and if you cannot cancel a class, even though you might not feel like teaching it, even though it might not be the huge audience, to do it, because it's just amazing on what's come out of some of our classes where there just haven't been tons of people, but you grow it organically by consistently teaching them.
June, would you like to add anything?
I would agree with Rashawn 100%. What I see a lot is agents get really excited. I'm sure some of you loan officer as well get really excited about doing this. And you run out in the first class you teach, you spend 5 hours your weekend, and it's hard. It's sunny out there, seafarers on, whatever, baseball, football, right? You're like, I'm sitting here teaching a class, right? We've all seen that. So then you're like, you didn't get anything out of it. And then you get discouraged, and then you stop teaching or things like that, and you hop in and out, right? But I find that the people that come to your class, they may not be ready today. They may be ready 6 months from now. They may be ready a year from now, right? They come back, they still have you on their phone, and they do reach out to you a year from now and say, hey, now I'm ready. Can you help me, right? So you just have to, I think it comes down to just your heart, right? Why are you doing this? You have to ask your why. If your why is doing this is to help educate people, then it really doesn't matter who shows up. If you educate one person and that one person get into a home, that's that's all matters, right? So I just tell my staff, I said, you know, our goal is to help one family with one class. That's all I look for. One family with one class. I'm not looking to help 30 people in the class, just one family. If we can do that over time, we can make a huge impact.
Yeah, great points. I know from my experience when I was teaching classes, about half of who signed up shows up for classes, roughly speaking. So plan on that, double book, and then you'll have half the folks show up. So something to think about. All right, let's see here.
Thank you, guys.
And I like to add something, the other half that didn't show up, you know, what you could do is sign them up for future classes. That's how you increase your attendance to your future classes. So don't give up on those.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a quick question on your co-teacher comment that was made earlier, Rashawn, or anybody for that matter? Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, well, go.
Was it somebody like a particular role or?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, the thing about the classes is that when you got an audience that they're coming there, and I think June had touched on this earlier, you know, you're there for 5 hours, and you know, the feedback we've been getting, what the heck are we going to talk about for 5 hours? You know, what are we going to talk about? You know, people go in with that preconceived notion of, you know, it's just about making an offer, getting pre-approved, and then closing, and off you go. So when you tell them 5 hours, they're coming in there kind of already down a little bit. And I think that that's kind of really where you and the co-instructor have to come in and really just be on the same page, and just because that's really your opportunity to really be able to educate and win them. So not only do they feel comfortable about home buying, but they feel comfortable about the program as well. And I think that like having a good co-instructor, it just makes the world of a difference. It really does, because you just learn so much off of one, and it becomes fun. You know, some of it doesn't feel like work anymore because you really, really enjoy it. And you know, it's just some of the advice that I would give. And I've just learned that over the 15 years or so of this teaching them, are really just valuing of having a good co-instructor.
That typically a loan officer or?
Yeah, a loan officer. For me, it's a loan officer. Yeah, for me, it's a loan officer. Or if you're a lender, then it would be the realtor, the real estate professional. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I could speak to that, as far as with commission classes, loan officers are the main instructors. The host can be a real estate agent. It can be a nonprofit like Habitat or someone else who's gone through the commission course as well. So that's an option as well. I don't know, June or Rashawn, if you guys work with any nonprofits like Urban League or anyone else in that matter, or if you just work with your lenders.
I work with Urban League and Parkview Services, and then an organization called Fresh Start and Freedom Project. So my class would either be with an agent and a nonprofit, or with an agent only. So it just depends on the availability and how we match up.
Great. That's great.
Yeah, mine is, I've been working with Kurt Tiedemann with Caliber for, we kind of jokingly, we're getting old together. You know, it's been 8-9 years or so now. So yeah.
Great.
Well, super. I think I don't see any other questions, but I did want to point out that Lisa posted, you know, feel free to visit the commission's website at heretohome.org or give us a call. So all of that information is in the chat room. I just want to say briefly, you know, thank you so much, guys. You know, your integrity, your compassion, and your willingness to give is just really infectious in a very positive way. And I just want to thank you all for that. I mean, that is really what, you know, how I approach the business. We have an opportunity to have a positive impact in people's lives, and you guys are living, breathing examples of like one of the most direct ways you can do that to help the underserved in most cases. Not all cases, but definitely some gripping stories that you shared too. So I appreciate that. with that, I think we're going to wrap up here. We've got a 1:27 time. I'm going to just say a couple closing comments. Ollie, thank you so much for your help. Your experience and your knowledge here in this field is really valuable to this group. Thank you all for opening up yourselves as potential resources for the future, as well for Lisa and her team at the commission. I mean, you guys, it's here. We've got it all in front of us. Is this something that you've been avoiding or not sure how to participate in? Just take that first step. You got to take a class. Why don't you go to one of their classes? And though all of your classes are posted on the commission's website, is that correct, guys?
Correct.
Anybody want to share when the next class is?
This Saturday.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
I won this Sunday.
Sunday. How about you? Oh, I think we're on mute. Well, that's great. I mean, obviously there's plenty of classes that are going to continue to offer and the opportunity is there. So I would just encourage people on my side of the story, the lenders, just take that first step, see where it goes. It's incredibly rewarding as we witnessed today. And there's lots of resources, so you're not in it by yourself. And you can definitely have a positive impact. So thank you guys. We really appreciate your time and energy today. This is wonderful, and I'm so happy that you participated.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Lisa,
Thank
would you
you.
like to say anything in our closing comments?
Oh, just again, a big thank you to all of you, especially our amazing panel. You guys are just truly the heart of this program. So couldn't do it without all of you. And thank you, Andy, for giving us a platform to speak on today. We appreciate the partnership.
Absolutely. And if anybody has any feedback, we're totally open to make little tweaks and adjustments going forward. But this is something that we could easily do on a quarterly basis because there's so much information, so many opportunities to share stories. So yeah, thank you guys. I just want to say real quick, once again, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Washington State Employees Credit Union and Umpqua Bank. Real quick, the WMBA, as referenced earlier by Ollie, we just had our WMBA annual auction in May, and I didn't see the final numbers yet. They were trickling in, but we had even though we had a lower turnout, we had a great result in the time when we raised our panel when people donated directly to the Habitat. So looking forward to writing that check again this year. We do have a golf classic coming up, which is Wednesday, July 12th. And for all loan officers and actually anybody in the industry, we're bringing back the School of Mortgage Banking to Seattle, which is actually going to be hosted again at the Washington State Housing Finance Commission downtown Seattle. And that's going to be August 8th through the 11th. If anybody has any questions about any of these things, reach out to myself or the Washington Mortgage Bankers Association. And in closing, I'd just like to thank you all for participating. Hope you have a wonderful Friday and great luck. More homeowners realize that homeownership dream through your classes this weekend, guys. Much appreciation.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day to our fathers out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. All right, everybody, take care. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.